Braun in the air, deep center. Jay is back. He is at the wall, and it's in the basket. That's a home run for Ryan Braun. Out into right center. Arcia will trot home. Davies to third. Santana with a double. 9-0.
I mean, you just shake your head. The Cubs have struggled with a World Series hangover for sure. In 2016, they outscored their opponents by 252 runs. So far this season, only ahead by 16 runs. The difference between the last 2 years, the sixth worst for World Series champs. Here's Theo Epstein on if Chicago will look to trades to improve the club.
Look, I think if we can improve the club through trade, we will. But you know, our biggest fixes are inside the clubhouse. You know, and this is a team that largely the same club, won 200 games, averaged 100 wins a year over the last 2 years, and there's not a player that we realistically can bring in from the outside that's going to spur us to play at that level. We're going to get to a point of playing at that level because of the guys who are here. And of course, we're going to work hard and do what we can to improve the club. It may happen, it may not happen. But you know, the biggest fixes rest in the talented players that we have.
So, Dylan, here we are, 84 games in, and I go back to those numbers. I mean, a huge disparity, 252 to 16. That is huge,
Yeah.
and whatever Theo talks about. But, I mean, is this team going to turn this thing around, and what do they got to do to get it back on track?
They got to start hitting. They got to start pitching. I know it's not rocket science. I'm sure some of this is the hangover. I'm sure some of it for a guy like this and Jake Arrieta is pressing, knowing that his big last payday is ahead. For, so many of these guys, they've had so much success over the last 2 years. And that's what Theo is banking on. And I think that's what Cub fans are banking on, that on paper, this is a team that's won 200 games over the last 2 years. And it's all the same guys. Look, I know Zobrist has been banged up. I know Schwarber, that whole experiment in the outfield did not work, as we see right there. And he's not hit. That's what kind of had him sent down to the minors to fix his swing and get right. I mean, he was batting in the 160s last time. We saw Rizzo's upped his average to get into the 260s. Bryant's fallen down to the 260s. Forget Addison Russell and Zobrist and Javi Baez. All these guys, they're all hitting so much worse than they were last year. And as far as the pitching's going, that emergence of Kyle Hendricks that we saw competing for an NL Cy Young, Lester, Arrieta, they formed one of the most formidable starting rotations in all of baseball. It just hasn't been that way for this version of the Chicago Cubs. And I look at what Theo Epstein said there, and I think that's a challenge, Ray, to those guys in the clubhouse saying, there's no duct tape fix. There's no quick fix of someone I can bring in here. I believe in you guys. You guys are the ones that won the World Series last year. Let's go out and get this done. There's plenty of time left in the second half of the season to chase down the Brewers and really to comfortably win the Central Division. The talent is all there. They're just not playing well. And I don't know if it's the hangover. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But when you have all of those numbers, because you remember the story last year was that run differential. They weren't just winning games. They were kicking teams' asses.
Yeah.
Now, look at today's game. They can't pitch. They can't hit. And that's something that it doesn't happen all in one fell swoop. But I think that all-star break is going to be good for this team, not to send everyone down to Miami. Maybe get a couple days to just clean the slate and start fresh in the second half.
And Theo's in a little bit of a catch-22, isn't he? He said right there, we've got essentially the same team and a good group of guys, but yet on the flip side of the coin, the question was, do you have to make any trade deals? So it's going to involve the guys. Somebody's going to want someone who was a key contributor last year. And you wonder if this is just a one-player deal. One player not really going to make the difference here.
No, it doesn't seem that way. And, maybe the one right player that can come in and change things up a little bit can be that guy. But, if Rizzo starts acting like Rizzo in the second half and Chris Bryant comes back and the ankle seems fine, which it does, and these guys start pitching, Arrieta kind of starts pitching the way we saw the last time out where he didn't give up a run. Kyle Hendricks can come off the disabled list. John Lester can be the ace of that staff, and John Lackey be that kind of rusty veteran. I think this thing can fall into place. There's certainly enough time for it to do so, but maybe it is, I thought maybe it was going to be that moving of Anthony Rizzo to the leadoff spot was going to jumpstart this team, and it did temporarily for a little bit. But that was a quick fix. Rizzo's a middle of the order guy. You know, you can't put a middle of the order guy at the top of the order and think it's going to last for 100 games. It was a nice little spark, but they need something more than that. And that's really up to this guy. That's this guy's job.
He's wearing a hat. It could be a magic hat, though, here at the All-Star break and beyond. Dylan, great stuff. Thanks.